have new information this evening in the 1977 Girl Scout murders that shocked all of Green Country and the nation. No one has ever been convicted, but investigators say new DNA testing has ruled out every single possible suspect except one. Three young girls, you'll remember, Lori Farmer, Michelle Gousset, and Denise Milner, were raped and murdered at camp in Mays County. Evidence was recently retested for DNA, and the results are now being made public for the first time ever. News on 6's Reagan Ledbetter has been working on this story for months and has this exclusive information. Reagan?
Lori, Mays County Sheriff Mike Reed has spent the last 9 years digging into this case after Lori Farmer's parents asked him to give the case a fresh set of eyes. Now, he says every single piece of DNA evidence has been accounted for, and he says there's no doubt in his mind that evidence shows Jean Leroy Hart is the killer. Jean Leroy Hart was arrested, then tried, and acquitted for the brutal murders in 1978. Sheriff Reed says DNA evidence wasn't available to the jury in 1978, but if it was, Reed has no doubt Hart would have been convicted.
I pray that the family, there's something that we've done that gives the family a second of something that even resembles closure or acceptance or something. I pray that. But as far as peace, there is absolutely nothing about this case that has given me 1 second of peace. Period.
Reed says the facts go far beyond DNA evidence. He says Hart was a textbook serial rapist who had been convicted of kidnapping and raping 2 pregnant women 10 years before the Girl Scout murders.
That's the kind of stuff that Jean Hart was responsible for.
Hart was given parole after serving just 2.5 years in prison for that crime. Sheriff Reed says the conspiracy theories surrounding this case over the years have been endless, and he agreed to look at this case for one reason: the families. Sherry Farmer has felt the pain of this crime for 45 years. She says she and her husband, Bo, have some peace, but there will never be closure. She spoke exclusively to me a month ago about that pain.
Let's say journey I wouldn't wish on anyone. It's shocking. It's different than a death. It's different than a loss because our daughter was murdered. It was intentional. And she died with 2 other little girls that we don't want to forget either.
Now, Jean Leroy Hart died in prison just months after he was acquitted of those murders. He was in prison for another crime.
So, Reagan, a lot of people are going to say, okay, so this evidence is finally conclusive, but they're not willing, investigators, just yet to call it closed. Now, why is that?
Well, first of all, the sheriff wants to emphasize and make it very clear that everything has been tested. There's nothing else out there that hasn't been tested. It's been tested by the best labs out there. There's no new special DNA testing that would give them a more conclusive result. As far as the whole case closed deal, they've decided that the DA's office, the sheriff's office, OSBI investigators, and the families, that's the most important thing, are going to have a group discussion and sit down, and they want to come to a unified 100% decision to either close the case or leave it open. The concerns with closing the case is if somebody maybe has information out there and they don't want it to appear that the case is closed and nothing new can happen, but they're confident in the information they have.
Okay, and this is just a small look at what you've been working on for a month. So when are we going to see this more of this?
Yeah, I'll have a much more in-depth look at this investigation, the evidence, and even into Jean Leroy Hart. Sheriff Mike Reed spent a long time looking into his past, and I'll have much more on that coming up Monday night.
Monday night. We are looking forward to that. Thank you, Reagan.